Welcome to the channel, everybody. Mike here, and I have what I hope is going to be an awesome video for you because this is a viewer requested video, an Instagram comment requested video, and I get these all the time and I love doing them because you guys honestly come up with the best idea and it answers the questions that you guys pose for me, and that's going to be, what are some of my top concealed carry pistols? So I have compiled a list of my top 7 CCW pistols that I absolutely 100% trust my life to. And I'm gonna try to reach across the price spectrum here and maybe have an honorable mention that is absolutely very cool towards the end of the video. This first one out of the way, and that is going to be the Glock 43X MOS, or the 48, which just has the little bit of a longer slide. And let's talk about why, because Glock is one of the most proven, durable, and reliable names in the industry. The 43X and the 48 MOS have the least aggressive grip angle, which I like. I like a more neutral angle, so when I present the pistol, it's just easier for me to not have to jam my wrist forward and down, so that is good. It's got okay texture, the controls are okay, they work just fine. The trigger is usable, it's not gonna be super custom or super light, but you get front serrations, rear serrations, you get a rail up here so you can use a light on it if you want. You've got a ton of aftermarket accessories should you be into that. It comes ready for an optic direct mounted to slide, which is the absolute best way you can go about it. You can put different sights on there if you want. I have some aftermarket sights on here just so I can, witness those sights through the optic window should the optic ever go down. The best things about this pistol are you're probably just not going to find one that's more durable, more reliable, but for me, it just seems to fit. So even though I have very large hands here, usually XL or double XL on the gloves, it just seems to be that perfect size right here that you can see, where even it is a smaller pistol, it just seems to be large enough to where out on the range you can really do magazine exchanges and run this thing like it's a larger pistol than it actually is. Now, they do have a bunch of different options out there in the market. There are ones that aren't optics ready. There are ones that have the two-tone slide. There's just a bunch of stuff out there. And again, you can pretty much a la carte this thing the way you want it, with all of the parts out there in the industry that are open for the Glock platform. On the 43X model and the 48, you're gonna have a 10+1 capacity from the factory, but you can get shield arms mags, which will give you 15+1, which effectively makes it the capacity of a Glock 19, but only being 1 inch wide right there. As you can see, if I put my finger on this, you can see it's about as wide as my finger, so that's pretty awesome. Overall smaller package, which would be great capacity. The cost on this, you can find them for like $485 right now, up to about $550. It really depends on where you look. I'll have a bunch of information at the build list. You can do all of your own research and maybe find some ways to not pay full price for things. But that is, in a nutshell, the 43X and the 48 as far as the trust of concealed carry pistols that I have here today. And if you want detailed reviews on any of these things, I will have videos on all of these, so you can check them out if you want that really deep dive. But let's move on to the next choice, and that is going to be the 365 series. And I say the series is because something is really awesome about the 365 series. So inside here, the whole fire control unit can be taken out and you can put it in different grip module sizes. You can go from the 365, the 365X, the XL, and this one right here, which is the X Macro. The aftermarket also loves this series of pistols. As you can see, that is the Icarus Precision grip module on here. Factory replacement upgrade there, but there's just a lot of really good stuff when it comes to the 365 platform. It's going to have good angles from the factory. It's going to have good texture. It's going to have a very solid trigger for this size of pistol. So for me, the 365 series has a better trigger than the 320 full size series. I don't know why, but it just seems to be that the brake here and trigger reset there on the smaller 365 is just better. Overall, it's proven to be extremely reliable, extremely durable. They have a ton of different factory options, from ported slides, non-ported slides, shorter slides, longer slides, custom slides that have different looks, different coatings on them. Sig has a cool custom shop where you can pretty much a la carte everything from the factory. They're also going to come with some of my favorite sights on the industry, which are going to be those Sig X-ray sights. That bright green in the front, the darked out night sight rear. That is my favorite combo of sights because it just helps you focus on the target. They will be optics ready, direct to slide again, which is the best way to get an optic screwed onto the slide directly. No plate system there. Overall, it's just going to be a great pistol. Depending on which one you get, it will have a rail section, or at least a portion of depressed rail in here where you can get a light on it or whatever else you are looking to attach to the front of it, whether it's a mini bayonet, and yes, they do exist out there in the world, but a great platform. It also has those more natural angles for me, so when I present with these 365s, the sights are always just right there, whereas some other pistols, like a Glock, a little bit more aggressive angle, I might have to force my wrist down. The Sig is very neutral. It's good all around. The controls are easy to use. The aftermarket has responded to this series of pistols, and overall, it's just a solid value. Now, the pricing on the Sig 365 is all over the place because you have base models like the 365 all the way up through the Spectre Comp and now the AXG models. So you could be anywhere from like $589 up until like $800. So it really depends on where you want to start. But the basic like X series 365X or XL, you can usually find for about $550 to $600 in there. And again, I'll try to find as many places as I can to kind of try and save some coin. And now on to one of my personal favorites, and that is going to be the Shadow Systems CR920P. And as you look at this thing, it just seems to have everything. So Shadow Systems is like a Glock cloner style of pistol, and they just give you every upgrade you could ever possibly want on a Glock. So starting around here, we're gonna have great sandpaper texture, easy to reach controls, a little bit of an extended beaver tail back there because that is a small pistol right there, right? Very good neutral grip angle, so when you present, you're gonna be right on target if you like those more kind of vertical angles in that pistol grip. Double undercut trigger guard, a very good, mostly flat face trigger in there, which is still kind of a combat or duty weight, like 4.5 to 5 pounds. Accessory rail, you will get those accelerator ledges right here up in the front, so you can kind of dig your thumb into there, get more traction since it is a smaller pistol. Slide serrations all over this thing, so you can work that slide pretty much any way you want. Up to 13 round magazines, and you will get flush fit ones as well with a couple less rounds. Direct 2-slide optics mount, amazing factory night sights on there, darked out rear, high vis front, great custom barrel on this one with an integrated factory compensator that is not on a threaded barrel. So no worry about thread restrictions out there. Again, this is hands down one of my favorite pistols because this package right here, as this one sits, obviously without the light and the optic in there, just gives you everything out of a factory produced pistol. So there are no upgrades here. You add your optic, add your light or whatever you want, and you are off and running. Now, the difference with this is the price point on this one is like $880 because you get all of the good stuff on it. So that's a little bit of a kick in the pants, but if you think about what you're getting, and if you get a 43X style or XMOS style pistol, and you add all of this stuff, you're gonna be at the same price point minus that sick little compensator, which definitely does work. Next up is another one I've got a lot of time on, and that's going to be the Hellcat Pro. So this is the kind of second iteration of the Hellcat out there. It's got a little bit of a longer grip, but it gives you all of the options that the Hellcat originally came out with, except now you get 17 round magazines like that one, obviously some different colors and flat dark earth, and that threaded barrel for use later. So great grip texture on here. It's that sandpaper texture that really does help you get a grip on this thing. It's very high up on the grip. It's all the way around, very high up towards the frame area where it meets the slide. Great controls on here from the slide stop, slide release. Pretty good trigger. Some people love it, some people don't. It's much more flat faced than other triggers out there. Accessory rail, you can get whatever you want on there. It's 2-slotted, so you can get the right fit for your finger length on there when it comes to activation of your chosen light or accessory. Front serrations, rear serrations, optics ready from the factory, direct 2-slide, RMSC pattern. Really good sights on it from the factory. It is a U-notch rear sight with a high-vis night sight in the front. Overall, a solid pistol. And if you want the threaded barrel version, that is available now, so you can get a compensator or anything else you want on there. Overall, I've carried this a bunch. I've shot several different versions of these. I have a few of them. Every single one of them has been very reliable and very durable. Now, the cool thing about this threaded barrel is it does have that little notch in it for the Springfield Armory comp that they had on the smaller Hellcat, which will go right on here. I have tested it. They haven't released that one yet for this, but if you can get your hands on just that compensator, it goes right on itself times. It's super easy and it does work. Overall, a very solid pistol, and this one comes in like right around $589, sometimes a little bit more, but they can be found out there all over the place. Next up is one that I am super impressed with, and that is going to be the Canik Mete MC9, again in that beautiful peanut butter color. This pistol just offers so much. You're going to get that really good sandpaper texture, which is aggressive yet not abrasive, easy to use controls, and this is a micro that actually has, you know, a left-handed slide stop, slide release on there. So for my people out there that are lefties, this is a definite option for you. You got a decent undercut on the trigger guard, probably one of the absolute best triggers in the striker game because it's a Walther design trigger. In here on the Canik Mete MC9 is a pre-cocked striker design. It is phenomenal, especially for this size pistol. Generally, the smaller you get with pistols, the worse the trigger gets. Not the case here. Phenomenal trigger right out of the box. Accessory rail with multiple slots up front there. You've got a good area to get the web of your hand up here in that back strap. You will have a striker indicator back there, so you know you're good to go on battery. Front serrations, rear serrations, optic ready direct to slide. Good, solid metal sights out of the factory. White dot front, blacked out rear, perfectly usable out there. Overall, a great pistol with very natural grip angles, very easy to use. Magazines are solid. You get a couple of different mags with it. You can get the big ones, which are 15, 15+1 there. On the extended version right there, you can see that compared to the size of my hand. Easy to walk around with all day. Really, really similar to the size of the 43X MOS, and they've just turned out to be great pistols overall. The only thing I've ever heard about the Caniks is sometimes they like to run the 124 NATO ammo because the spring in here is sprung for NATO pressure ammo, where us in the States usually run cheaper 115 grain. A cool thing about this one also is you get those interchangeable back straps, kind of like the Sig series pistols, which is absolutely awesome for a custom fit. And if I forgot to throw the price in there for the Canik Mete MC9, that thing is $399. So that is a pretty exceptional value for what you are getting out of the Canik MC9. Now that we are cooking along, let's bring out my thick chick here. This is the Walther PDP, but the F version. So it is a little bit bigger. Again, you see that as compared to the size of my hand. We'll kind of hold up this to the CR920P right here. You can kind of see the difference in the thickness right there. It is definitely a chunky one, but the Walther PDP is absolutely one of my favorite pistols. So we got great grip texture, interchangeable back straps, deep area to get the web of your hand up to control the recoil impulse. I love the magazine release here. It's in the perfect spot. It's the perfect size. Don't even have to break my grip to release the magazine and get a new one in there. Nice single undercut there. It's got a very large trigger guard right there, which makes it easy to get your finger in there, and especially if you're wearing gloves or something like that. Multi-slot accessory rail. You get front serrations, rear serrations, direct optic mounts opportunity here. And I'm gonna say opportunity because Wesson makes their new series of SCS, which goes direct to slide. So that is cool. Otherwise, it is a plate system. You will get usable sights from the factory. They are plastic, not my favorite. It is a bold, big look here. Some people love the look of the PDP, some people do not, but it hands down has one of the most phenomenal triggers out of the box for a striker fired pistol just across the size spectrum, whether it's this like ultra compact, compact full size, or even the longest, the 5-inch version. The triggers are phenomenal. Like I said, this is what Canik stole the trigger design from, or licensed the trigger design. And again, this is lefty compatible, left-handed and right-handed slide stop slide release on there. And then you can swap, as you can see on the mags right here, you can swap that mag release over. So my lefties are getting the love they deserve. Like I said, one of my personal favorites in the industry. And the price on these, it's all over the place. I've seen them from $600 to $650. It really just depends on what's going on, what time of year it is. But overall, like I said, the PDP, a phenomenal choice. The last thing I will say here is the angles and the shootability of this thing is just great. The little pinky ledge down here on the bottom, you can see how it just grabs your pinky like that. That helps you keep that muzzle down in place. Much less aggressive grip angle here. So it is just extremely natural for me when I aim and present this on target. And that helps get those fast follow-up shots. Now, the Walther PDP is known for being a little bit more snappy. So when you pull the trigger, the shot breaks. It might jump a little bit more, but the way and the speed it returns exactly to your point of aim is worth every bit of that additional recoil, that felt recoil to me. And pretty much everybody that I introduce these pistols to seems to love them. And last but not least, before the honorable mention, the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. Now this is probably one of the most proven concealed carry pistols out there. The Smith & Wesson Shield series gives you Glock reliability, durability, with improved angles, improved texture, and just a lot of better things on it than the actual Glock itself. Now for me, it just doesn't fit my hand well because of how kind of sharp the angle is right in here as I grab that. I just can't get my knuckle in there right, but there is no denying everything that this pistol is. You get the best texture in the business here. So the Smith & Wesson texture on the grip is hands down my personal favorite. It's that sandpaper style. They've got that perfect blend of aggressiveness yet not abrasive. Easy to use controls from the magazine release, slide stop, everything is good to go. The trigger in these newer versions, it is far better than the hinge design that Smith & Wesson has been known for. The trigger guard is a little small in there. It is sloped forward here, so that can be a problem if you've got bigger fingers coming in there. And if you've got bigger hands, you'll tend to kind of slip up a little bit. So more geared towards people with kind of medium size, maybe large size hand, but once you get into XL, double XL, can be a problem. No accessory oil on this version, but there are a ton of different versions of the Shield Plus out there from the Performance Center. You're gonna get front serrations, rear serrations. Optics ready versions are out there. This one, I actually have what's called a Dove mount right there, and you can see that is an S7 tool steel mount. So if you have a Shield or a Shield Plus, I've got a video on that thing. It's the best, strongest one I could find that I absolutely trust carrying around out there in the world. So this is just a phenomenal pistol. If the Smith & Wesson design fits your hand, you really cannot do much better. And for the price point on these, it's just exceptional. These things can be found out there for like 400 to 450 bucks brand new. And it really just depends on the options because they have Performance Center versions, they have standard versions, and that's really going to be up to you. But overall, you just can't go wrong with a Smith & Wesson Shield or Shield Plus as long as it fits your hand and your grip style. And last up, that honorable mention, and this is one of my most cherished pieces in my collection. It's the hammer-fired love of hammer-fired love for me. That is going to be the Wilson SFX9 right here. So this is a completely different design pistol, and it's literally like a Ferrari. Everything from the slide stop, slide release, the feel of this pistol, the controls, it is absolutely machined and designed to perfection. Great grip texture, less aggressive grip angle. It is the 1911 grip angle. Phenomenal trigger. It doesn't get any better than the triggers on a 1911, especially when they're custom tuned. Accessory rail up here, little finger groove right here up for you, but very traditional trigger guard for a 1911. You got a tri-top cut slide here. You do have some kind of, you know, depressions on the front of the slide that you can use for cocking, serrations, or lugs, I guess they would be. You do have checkered serrations on the rear. Optics ready systems are available as a plate system. Tall sight from the factory if you want them that way. That beautiful hammer fired look. No backstrap safety, but that big beaver tail to keep the recoil down. And overall, the angles on this thing, how it points and how it performs is 100% phenomenal. Even though this is a 3 1/4 inch pistol, it just runs like an absolute supercar out there on the range. And even though it's that short, the recoil is very manageable because of the overall design of this thing. And hands down, like I said, one of the most favorite piece, probably the favorite piece in my collection right now. But when you get into something like this SFX9, you are going to absolutely pay for it. These things are well over $3,000 as it sits right here. I want to say with the optic, we're looking at like $3,600 or $3,700. So this is not something that everybody out there can afford. I bought this pistol. I had to scrimp and save for this. And the title of this video is literally the only pistol worth saving for. I've got 2011s, I've got other 1911s, but this one, it just, every time I get it in my hands, I 100% smile. And I think anybody that runs this thing usually gets the same smile on their face, and it just feels that good. Well, I just love doing these videos because it answers questions that you guys have actually asked and what you are interested in. And quite honestly, usually the audience has the best ideas for videos because it's things you're really interested in. So I know that was a lot of stuff in there. I tried to get things in there across the price spectrum for you in design and different brands. But if you feel that I missed something, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you get subbed up to the channel. Keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.